Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 3 of the Race 1 SK Modified Series here with American Sim Racing Club. We are here today at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Horsepower Happenings 125. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second. Folks, I hope you all are ready for the action here tonight. 125 laps that we are going to be seeing here tonight at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and frankly, North Wilkesboro, has shown a lot of action throughout all of the seasons that we've seen here with American Sim Racing Club, as well as the short track racing in general. And it's great to see Horsepower Happenings coming on here for the race here today, sponsoring today's event, as well as 3 races for this season. This one being the first of those said 3. It is going to be the Triple Track Challenge happening on Wednesday nights. The next one happening at Lucas Oil Raceway on the 31st of this month. So get yourself subscribed if you haven't already to catch that action as it gets ready to unfold. But tonight we are here at North Wilkesboro, and just to top off on that challenge here, drivers competing, well, every driver is going to be competing in this challenge here, but the driver with the highest average finish of those 3 races here for the Horsepower Happenings Triple Track Challenge will come away with $40 to their name. So, not only do we have the qualifying award that Horsepower Happenings is sponsoring for this event, we also have the Triple Track Challenge. Excuse me, that's quite a tongue twister. Horsepower Happenings being a very, very supportive sponsor in this series, as well as Race1.us. Both of the drivers, well, both of the people behind these sponsors are also driving in this series. Zach Heiser with Horsepower Happenings in this series, as well as Mark Welch in the 74 machine with Race1 US. Great to have both of these drivers as well as sponsors out on track racing with these guys and competing in the season, in the series at that. So let's get back into the racing here. Let's see what is happening out on the racetrack as currently qualifying underway at this point in time. Eric Hahn, the 711 car, coming out of turn 2, getting a little bit loose there. He's going to bring it to a stop as much as he possibly can there and try and get himself back out onto the racetrack here. Nick Fleury, meanwhile, the 25 car, pushing his way up into that second place spot. And currently the man to beat is Andrew Payne, the 93 car. And I got to say, Andrew Payne has been kind of, I kind of want to equate him to the George Russell of the Formula One world here in the American Sim Racing Club as far as qualifying pace. Andrew Payne has consistently been up there in the top 3 or even the starting position of each race. I mean, it's been phenomenal, the qualifying pace that the 93 machine has, and it's just great to see Andrew Payne doing so well in this series. But it looks to be that most of our drivers have completed their qualifying runs here. Only a few drivers, actually a couple drivers that have not even made their way out onto the track here. Tim Rogers and Matthew Largan. I hope I'm saying that correctly there, Matthew, but if I'm not, please feel free to correct me. Eric Hahn here, though, putting down his best time here of tonight in 21st place here with a 18.16 as his best time around here. So Eric Hahn, Brett Hahn, the father-son duo out here on track. Always great to see these two out here. And Eric Hahn, you know, maybe not always up there towards the front, but he's always cheering his son on, the 71 Brett the Jet Hahn, out there towards the front of the field and just coming away with championships. The Brett the Jet here coming away with 3 championships back-to-back since the time we've began covering the American Sim Racing Club super late models, or the Mountain Dew, or well, not the Mountain Dew now, the modified tour series that we see here with American Sim Racing Club. But it does appear that our qualifying has completed here, so we are going to go ahead and move on to our starting grid here today. And starting out in the front row on the inside line, the 93 machine of Andrew Payne in the 93 car. I think I already said that. Out here in the front row with Nick Fleury, the 25 machine, after a very close, well, not necessarily close, but kind of towards the end of qualifying there, coming away with second place. Nick Fleury doing a great job here, starting off in the front row. On the outside, Brett the Jet Hahn, the three-time back-to-back champion here with American Sim Racing Club, starting off in third place in the 71 machine. Rex Hoyle, the 54 car, on the outside of row 2 here. The inside of row 3, it's David Luigi in the 87 car. Ron Hart, the 51 car, in 6th place here today. Brian Wilderson in 7th place, Charles Darling in 8th, Dalton Williamson in 9th place, Franklin Evans in 10th place, Jonathan Smith in 11th, Cameron DeRue, I hope I'm saying that right, the 927 car, in 12th place here tonight as we move ourselves down the grid. Brian Bianchi in 13th here tonight, David Payton in 14th, Amir Saleh in 15th, Zach Kaiser in 16th, Lee Campbell in 17th, Josh Buckley in 18th, Mark Welch in 19th, Jerry Cochran in 20th, Eric Hahn in 21st, John Senu in 22nd, John DeMeester in 23rd, Andrew Burr in 24th, with Justin Callahan in 25th, Tanner Tallarico, who is not racing in this race, but is overseeing the happenings of the event from the race control booth, still showing on the grid here in that 26th spot, but Tim Rogers technically going to be in that 26th spot with Matthew Largan in the final spot of the race here tonight, technically 28th. But that is going to round up our field here tonight as our drivers all lined up behind the pace truck here, getting ready to go here before we get ourselves ready for the start of tonight's action. Here we go around North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Horsepower Happenings 125. I gotta say, you know, it's really, really great to see this field for the modified series for American Sim Racing Club just growing the way that it is. It seems like every week that we do a show here, we get at least 1 or 2 new drivers out on the racetrack, and frankly, I am just all for it. And for Horsepower Happenings, the Great Lakes Short Track Racing Authority, I'm sure it's going to be a good race here tonight as it is their own. Well, they are the title sponsor of the race here tonight, being that it is the Horsepower Happenings 125. And like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, North Wilkesboro always posing a lot of great racing, and with how deep the fields that we've had here consistently for the modified series, I am excited to see what happens here as we go into turn 3. Coming out of turn 4, the pace truck going to make that dive down. No, it's not. Okay, we're going to take another lap around here. I thought it was going to go down. I was wrong. All right. So, with Andrew Payne, Nick Fleury starting out in the front row here. For Andrew, I mean, this guy knows what he's doing. He has been up here in the front multiple times. It's really just keeping himself up here is going to be the challenging part, because, I mean, simply it just comes down to the fact that he's got a lot of drivers that know what they're doing behind him as well, that are going to push their way up to that front as we come out of turn 4, and the green flag drops here for the very first time. Let's see what Andrew Payne has got in store tonight for the 93 car as we go out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway, taking a look at the midfield here as they make their way down the back straight, heading into turn 3, taking a look at David Luigi in the 87 car in 7th place at this moment, on the inside of Charles Darling of the 88, heading into turn 1. Wheel to wheel for a second there with Charles, but that quickly dissipates, coming out into the back straightaway. With North Wilkesboro being as small of a track as it is, a lot of action going to be happening throughout the racetrack, but it's going to be tough to keep up with it all here We're going to have to keep our eyes peeled and see what happens here. We're taking a look at Lee Campbell, the 27 car, down on the inside of the 46 of Josh Buckley. Making their way through turn 3 here. Buckley dipping his way down to the inside line there, just ahead of Lee Campbell here. Starting to see a single file line form onto the track here for the drivers in the midfield. Let's take a look back at the front of the pack here and see if that seems to be the same case, and it looks to be that way. And Andrew Payne here, no one has been able to get up to the 93 machine yet, but give it time and patience, and I'm sure that will change here before too long, as much as Andrew Payne probably doesn't want to hear that. The 54 of Rex Hoyle here in 5th place at this moment. Starting to see a little bit of pressure forming up behind him with Charles Darling, David Luigi, and Franklin Evans. Coming out of turn 4, and you can see Luigi, Evans, almost bumper to tail here. Trying to keep it as clean as they can, and frankly, I'm impressed with how clean these drivers are keeping it at this moment. Let's take a moment here. I want to ride on board with one of our drivers. Let's go on board with Jerry Cochran in the 82 car. Currently riding behind the 711 of Eric Hahn. Across the checkered line, heading into turn 1. And I love the message on the back of Eric Hahn's race car. Don't follow me if you want to make it. No, don't follow me, you won't make it. Okay, I read that wrong. But either way, the message holds great meaning. I love it. I love it, Eric. But Jerry Cochran here, I hope, oh man. Trailing along here, trying to sneak his way down onto the inside line here of Eric Hahn. And I mean, North Wilkesboro, it's a very tough racetrack where you're not going to get a whole lot of opportunities for passing. It's going to be a lot of relying on the mistakes of the drivers ahead of you, and being able to dip your way down onto the inside, as we see John DeMeester. No, that's not John DeMeester, that's Dalton Williamson, the 01 car, making his way around Jerry there in the 82 machine up into 19th place here. Great move there from Dalton Williamson. Let's go ahead and check back in with our leaders here for just a second, see if anything has changed. And right now, the only thing that has changed, Ron Hart up 2 spots from where he started at the beginning of the race here tonight, up into 4th place, just trailing along here with Brett Hahn, the 71 machine. And look at the gap that Andrew Payne has developed here. Almost a second between himself and a second place driver Nick Fleury, and frankly I'm curious to see how long it's going to be before we see possibly Brett Hahn work his way up to the tail end of the 93 machine, or if we're even going to see that at all here. You know, Brett Hahn definitely known for moving his way through a field. I mean, even with starting at the tail end, you know, having won a race. Okay, so let me back things up here. If you're new to the channel, or if you're new to this series in particular, there is a shotgun rule that is in place. So if you win the race last week, okay, so let's say you won the race last week, you start at the tail end of the race this week. Plain and simple. Ron Hart, though, with the move through the inside of turn 4. That's going to push his way up into 3rd place. Brett Hahn, he's going to be stuck on the outside of Rex Hoyle. So we come out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Side by side between these two. Not exactly certain what's going on here for the 71 machine of Brett Hahn, but he is going to fall back a little bit here. Eric Hahn, though, the father of Brett Hahn, having a little bit of a moment right there in the entry of pit road there. Let's take a look at the instant replay and see what unfolded here. Heading into turn 3, might be some contact. There it is, between the 82 machine Oh, no. More contact. Who is that? Definitely not the 27 of Lee Campbell. I'm trying to find who that might have been. Either way, either how. That was quite the hit there for Eric Hahn. Hopefully going to be able to keep it out on the racetrack after that one. I mean, he's going to be down here in the pits, and, oh, man. At this moment, it looks like there's going to be enough damage that he's going to be down there for a little while, but hopefully, again, not for too long. And for Andrew Payne, for Nick Fleury, and Ron Hart, not a whole lot has changed up here towards the front of the field. So it doesn't necessarily, I mean, well, here's the thing. For Andrew Payne, if we go to, I don't think we're going to go to a single file restart. I think we're still going to keep a double file. But for Andrew, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to worry about Brett Hahn anymore. He's now down a couple more positions from the last time. But Nick Fleury, I mean, Fleury is another solid driver here in the series. I know he's mentioned a few times that he's not too comfortable, well, not exactly comfortable, but not as confident in the modifieds as he is in the super late models that we've seen him compete in here with American Sim Racing Club as well. But still a phenomenal driver and doing phenomenal in this series as we are about to go back to green flag racing here. Pace truck is in, green flag is down, lap 19 of 125 here for the horsepower happenings 125 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And look at, oh boy, Jerry Cochran not having a great moment here. Let's take a look at the replay. Oh man, that snapped back on him real bad. Real bad. He tried everything he could to save that, but that was, oh man, rough to say the least. So I am being told that Cameron Dario is how you say his last name. The 927, Cameron Dario. Thank you, Chop Shop, in the chat for correcting me and telling me how to say his last name correctly. I don't like to mispronounce anyone's name, but if I sometimes do, again, feel free to let me know. So, second caution of the race here. It is lap 19 of 125. Andrew Payne, Nick Fleury still out in the front row. Rex Hoyle, Ron Hart in our second row. Brett Hahn and Charles Darling rounding out our top three rows here tonight. As the pace truck makes the dive back into pit lane, and the green flag drops here once again. Lap 20 of 125. Let's see what the restart holds for us this time around as we come out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Taking a look here with Zach Kaiser, the sponsor of today's race with Horsepower Happenings. Currently sitting here in 15th at this moment, going through turn 1 on the outside of the 46 of Josh Buckley, trying to make a move here around that outside lane, get a little bit of momentum here down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3. Might play into his favor here as drivers on the bottom lane getting into each other just a little bit here and there. That's going to slow him down just marginally enough to be able to make that outside line work for these drivers. And here you can already see, oh, there's contact there. The 46 machine, Josh Buckley, absolutely. Oh man, we got to go back and look at that. That was just, So we're looking from, there it is. Oh, that's who I was looking for. David Payton got the worst of it after the 935. Oh, or the 92, yeah, the 925, excuse me. Of Amir Saleh. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Amir. I'm trying to say it how it's spelled, and it's not working too well in my favor, but again, I hope I'm saying it correctly. But wow. Wow, that could not have gone any worse here for the 38 of David Payton. You can even see the 925 of Amir down there as well in pit road. Both drivers getting the short stick in that incident there. I don't know. I mean, Eric Hahn is still down there in the pits as well from his incident earlier in the race here. So for Amir, this might be the end, as well as David Payton. Ah, man, 3 drivers already have gone behind the pit wall here. Actually, that's not exactly entirely true here. John DeMeester, Jerry Cochran as well have both, well, John DeMeester just made his way back out onto the track, but Jerry Cochran has called it a night here. That's going to be the end of his race. So still 3 drivers left down in pit road that are suffering from damage or have just decided that it's not, tonight is not the night to race for them. Lap 23 of 125. A lot of laps still left to turn here. And, I mean, again, folks, when we have this many drivers on the track, everyone's going side by side. Everyone's gunning for positions. It's going to be a tough race out there. And honestly, if we weren't seeing drivers bumping into one another and getting side by side, I don't think it would be a very exciting race. But as we go back to green flag racing here, Andrew Payne doing a phenomenal job holding on to his lead here. Single file restart this time around as well, going to possibly help the drivers, at least hopefully, help the drivers have a longer green flag run this time around. But you're still going to see guys getting down onto the inside lane, trying to find an advantage here to make a pass. But North Wilkesboro, one of those tracks where you can't really, you really have to be on your A game in order to make that work here. And it looks like already we've got, oh man, Jonathan Smith here, the 72 car, involved in an incident here. Let's take a look, if we can here, and see what happened here. Oh, a slight tap from the 954 to the right rear end here to Jonathan Smith. That's going to send him careening around. He's going to get it corrected here. It doesn't look like with any damage to that car here as well. So great thing there for Jonathan Smith, but tough break for the rest of the field as the caution's going to come back out. Obviously, as it's we're currently back underway with the pace truck in tow. So drivers going to have to get themselves geared back up, ready to go for this next stint here. Andrew Payne, though, I mean, not even just Andrew Payne. I mean, this whole top 5, really, top 10 almost, has done an incredible job keeping their positions. I mean, obviously, they're all still gunning for spots. They're all trying to fight each other for the race lead, for top 5, whatever the case may be. but each and every single one of them has stayed incredibly consistent here and has not showed any sign of letting up. So I'm excited, folks. Let's see what is in store for the rest of the race tonight. Hopefully we get to see a pretty solid green flag run here for these drivers. Be able to get a long run in either before the next caution or before the checkered flag flies here, one or the other. So as we come down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3, the pace truck is about to make its dive back down into pit road. Single file restart again this time around. The green flag drops. Andrew Payne off like a jet here into turn 1. Let's see how the rest of the field stacks up here as we work our way through turns 1 and 2 onto the back straightaway. The 41 car a little bit loose there. The Franklin Evans able to recover that. Going to be at the cost of having the field pass him here through turns 3 and 4, dropping down to almost the tail end of the field here. Heading back in through turn 1, out of turn 2, onto the back straightaway. Drivers keeping things single file here for the most part throughout this field. No one making any real dive attempts at this moment. I think the general consensus here at this point in time is that drivers want to keep this race green for as long as they possibly can. Cameron Dario here, the 927 car right on the tail of the 87 of David Luigi. Getting right up on the bumper there. Very good work. Who's this down on the inside of the track here? Oh man. John DeMeester, the number 2 machine, appears to have blown his engine and is going to be limping it through pit road. Not a sight you want to see as a driver, as a spectator, especially as a pit crew member. Tagging along here with Brett Hahn, the 71 machine, currently sitting in the 5th place spot here. Currently has Charles Darling, the 88 machine, right hot on his tail at this moment, just clicking off laps. And again, this field staying relatively calm this restart, giving each other quite a bit of room here, at least from bird's eye view. We've got a few drivers side by side there. A little bit of contact between John Senu, the 72 machine of Jonathan Smith. They both make contact with each other through turns 1 and send each other to the infield. No caution yet. There it is. What an unfortunate way to bring out the caution here. Man, just the slightest bit of contact, and they almost were able to recover that one as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the instant replay here and just see what unfolded right up until that moment. So it looks like that's actually a little bit further ahead than where we want to be. We're going to back things up here, hit the old rewind button on the old tape recorder here. Back things up here just a little bit. There you see John Senu just up on the outside, heading in through turn 1, and there it is, the contact, and it looks like the 74, Jonathan Smith, showing as the 913 on timing and scoring, came up a little bit high into that entry into turn 1. I don't think he was quite expecting John to be there on his outside when he was. Purely just a racing incident, nothing more, nothing less. So, fifth caution of the race here today. We're going to go ahead and take a very quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will have more of the horsepower happenings 125 right here on Team Goon Squad. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more iRacing right here on TGS. Welcome back, race fans, to the Horsepower Happenings 125 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway with American Sim Racing Club, as we are about to go green flag here as the pace truck about to make its dive back down into pit road. Andrew Payne, Nick Fleury, Ron Hart in our top three. Green flag drops here. Bombing his way into turn 1 and out of turn 2. Andrew Payne doing what he does best here, keeping himself in the lead in 35 laps into the race, and has done a phenomenal job thus far. Brett Hahn, Charles Darling duking it out side by side here. The 85 machine, or the 87, excuse me, David Luigi, coming out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway just a moment ago, almost making a little bit of contact to the rear end of, I believe, the 71 of Brett Hahn, or maybe even both Charles Darling and Brett Hahn in that scenario. But keeping it clean and green as we come out of turn 2 onto the back straight once more. The 87 onto the outside here of Charles Darling, trying to make a move here as we come out of turn 4 onto the front straight. Multiple drivers here making moves throughout the field. There we see David Luigi. He is confident in this outside line, trying to make it work. Charles Darling doing everything he can here, putting up all the defense, all the moves that he can here, trying to stay as consistent as he possibly can. Doing a great job of it as well, trying to prevent the 87 getting an opportunity down to the inside there. Let's take a look at some of the action happening towards the back of the field. Whoa, Andrew Burr, I think, overdrove the entry there going into turn 1, that was turn 3. Had to back it way off in order to avoid contact with the driver, or worse, with the wall. Lap 40 of 125. About halfway to the to the halfway mark of, halfway to the halfway of the race here tonight. I'm sorry, folks. I'm getting myself a little bit distracted here, but we are continuing on with a lot of single file action at this moment through the field, and we can take a look at that on the track map on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You can see just about every single driver indicated by the numbers, the little bubbles on the track map. You can just about read every single one of them, and when you can do that, given the deception that, well, now as we have a yellow flag coming out here, not exactly certain who for. Looks like Dalton Williamson might have possibly been in this. Let's take a look here. Okay, we're going to take a look at Dalton Williamson here. Might have possibly had a little bit of a moment. I'm not too certain, though. Let's take a look. Oh, Zach Heiser, the sponsor of today's race, as well as another sponsor of the season, with Horsepower Happenings getting a little bit of contact in that one. I don't think it's going to be too damaging to the 14 machine or to either car in that incident, but it is going to bring out the caution here tonight, and luckily both drivers, I believe, are going to walk away from that one relatively unscathed. Dalton Williamson going to be forced to the back end of the field here. And it doesn't appear that he has any damage to that one car either, so I think he might be all right. I think both drivers are going to be okay in this incident. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, Zach Heiser's coming through pit road. Or at least looking like he's about to come through pit road. I think we just saw a fake out from Zach Heiser. The most low-key fake out I think we've ever seen here, possibly. Maybe not. All right, Zach Heiser's coming in through pit lane. I am all kinds of confused. If you can't tell, folks, I'm wildly confused at this moment at what these two are doing. But we're going to ignore that. We're going to go back to the action here with the rest of the track. Andrew Payne, Nick Fleury, Ron Hart. I mean, it's been the same here since the start of the race here. 43 laps in. Neither one of these three have budged an inch. Right now, Rex Hoyle and Brett Hahn, I mean, they've kind of been squabbling for that 4th and 5th place spot, kind of swapping back and forth, it seems like. But really, these top three have not changed hardly at all. Are we going to see anyone push their way up into that 1st place spot or even challenge Andrew Payne for first? I mean, we can imagine that as the race progresses, if there's any more cautions, you know, maybe towards, say, the halfway point of the race, closer to the halfway mark, we can see drivers get a fresh set of tires or anything of that nature. As we go back to green flag racing here once again. And here goes Brett Hahn on the inside of Rex Hoyle through turn 1. Out of turn 2, he's going to have that advantage, but is it going to stick going into 3? And indeed it does. Rex Hoyle trying to do all that he can here. Out of turn 4 onto the front straightaway, but Brett Hahn into 4th place. Great move there from the 71 machine. Charles Darling now trying to get some of the action here as well, as we're going to ride along with the 88 machine. David Luigi on the inside of the 88 machine you just saw there just a second ago. Trying to make a dive down onto the inside. You can kind of see him as well in the rear view mirror of Charles Darling machine here, but that just goes to show how much these drivers are pushed. Oh man, look at that. The slide coming out of the 88 car. frankly, folks, I could just watch these guys race around all day and be entertained. Lap 49 of 125. That kind of rhymes. Justin Callahan here in the 13th place spot. Oh, whoa, Andrew Bird. The 223 machine. A little wide there through turns 3 and 4. Keeping it together though. Not exactly certain if he probably just overdrove it there a little bit. Had to slow himself down a little bit more than he probably would have liked to. But North Wilkesboro, I mean, a flat track like this, it's definitely tough to get the groove of things, and it's very, very easy to overdrive yourself. I mean, I can't, oh, whoa, contact between the 41 Franklin Evans and Lee Campbell. Evans, phenomenal driving there from the 933 on timing and scoring, but he's showing as the 41 car on his race car itself. Franklin Evans, that was an incredible save there. Ultimately, unfortunately, he's going to fall back a position from that as the 74 Mark Welch, the race sponsor with Race1.us for this season, out there currently in that 9th place spot, able to crack into the top 10 here as there's still wheel-to-wheel racing between Jonathan Smith, Franklin Evans as we come down into turn 1. Incredibly close battle between these two drivers. Great racing as well. Not letting up an inch. A little bit of contact there out of turn 4. Just goes to show how much these two are trying their hardest to get in front of one another. Meanwhile, behind them, Brian Wilderson, Dalton Williamson now starting to get up in the mix of things here as well. Closing in on those top 10 spots. Williamson down on the inside into turn 1. That's going to push his way up here into 12th place, and currently still tracking along here with the drivers just ahead of them, Franklin Evans and Jonathan Smith. Let's go ahead and take a look back at the front of the field here where things have gotten rather interesting. Right now, Andrew Payne nearly a second of a gap between himself and this field at this moment. And folks, that is not an easy accomplishment. We've got a lot of very strong drivers here in this track, in this series. And for Andrew Payne, I mean, to give Andrew Payne some credit here, he is a very skilled driver himself. But to be a second ahead of every other driver here, including the 3-time back-to-back champion, that is nothing to shrug your shoulders at. Absolutely incredible work here for Andrew Payne. Here we see Eric Hahn, the 711 car. Lap traffic here, being respectful, taking the high line, letting the drivers on the lead lap on by. And also getting a preview of his son, the 71, Brett the Jet Hahn, making his way by. Currently battling for that 3rd place spot here as we had a caution out on the track involving Jonathan Smith. Oh no, as well as Cameron Dario. I had to go back and look. I won't lie. Jonathan Smith and Cameron Dario is who I have at this moment. Let's see if there's anyone else involved in this one. Looking at the 72 of Jonathan Smith right now. Going out of turn 2, a little bit of contact from Brian Wilderson. Oh, it only gets worse for Jonathan. Oh, and Justin Callahan also got a little bit involved. I'm not sure what he got involved in there, but the 72 machine, he's going to be down here in pit road, and he's getting those tires changed, but let's see if he goes back out onto the racetrack here. I can't imagine that he's going to want to. We won't stick around for the whole pit exit there of Jonathan Smith, but we will keep an eye and see if Jonathan does make his way back out onto the racetrack here, as, again, a few different drivers have unfortunately fallen victim here to the incidents at North Wilkesboro, and a few drivers have already called it a night here. Jerry Cochran, David Payton, Amir Saleh, Josh Buckley, and I believe that's it. Yes, that is it. So, folks, lap 63 of 125 of the horsepower happenings 125. I hope you all have been enjoying the race thus far. If you have been, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here with American Sim Racing Club, as well as many other leagues here on the iRacing service 7 days a week. Thank you all for your support and your continued watching of every single series that we cover here on the Team Goon Squad channel. As we come down the back straightaway, getting ourselves ready to go back to green flag racing here. Andrew Payne, Ron Hart, now going to be side by side. Pace truck is in, green flag is out here once more across the checkered line. And look at this, these two drivers side by side. Ron Hart not letting up an inch here, coming out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. A little bit of contact to the wall there from the 051. Not going to slow him down very much here. Right back up to the bumper of the 93 of Andrew Payne. Andrew trying to do all that he can here to build up some distance between himself and Ron Hart. Down the back straightaway here once again. We're going to take a break from that up at the front of the field. Take a look at what's happening here just behind them. Drivers side by side, all scrapping for positions here. Single file for the most part. In a lot of this field at this moment, a couple drivers side by side. You can see Brett Hahn alongside Andrew Burr in the 223 machine coming out of turn 4 onto the front straightaway. The 41, Franklin Evans, trying to find a move down in, well, it looks like between Andrew Burr and Brett Hahn here. Brett Hahn just staying patient and steady here, trying to move his way up through this grid. Andrew Payne, meanwhile, still staying very consistent here. Not exactly building up as much of a gap as he had before, but right at this point in the race, I mean, he's got about a quarter of a second gap between himself and Ron Hart. All he's got to do is maintain that. Oh no, oh no, it only gets worse. Coming out of turn 2, Mark Welch, the 74 car, gets a little bit wobbly. finds himself involved in a little bit of a scuffle here. Let's take a look at what unfolded. There you see the 74 get a little bit sideways into the left rear, the right rear, excuse me, of the 11 of Brian Bianchi. Also catching the 27 of Lee Campbell in that one as well. That'll bring out our 8th caution of the race here, lap 70 of 125. Lap 69 of 125 for the horsepower happenings 125. Andrew Payne, Ron Hart, Charles Darling, all the top 3 at this moment in the race here tonight. Both Ron Hart, Charles Darling having moved up considerably tonight throughout the race here. Single file restart as we go back to green flag here. Andrew Payne off to an excellent restart this time around, able to build up a gap this time with the single file restarts to his advantage. Looking at the 25, Nick Fleury there, almost making contact with the 9.51 of Brian Wilderson. Here for the battle for 7th place. You also see Brett Hahn in the 9th place spot as well. Franklin Evans there in 10th in the the 41 machine. Fleury down to the inside of Wilderson here through turns 3 and 4 onto the front straightaway. Let's see if this is going to play off in his favor here. And while we're actually doing that, I want to ride on board here with Brett Hahn, and let's have a couple laps around and listen to the sights and sounds of North Wilkesboro Speedway. Great racing here from Brett Hahn. Staying right on the tail of the 9.5, of Brian Wilderson. Single file still, I mean, obviously for the most part, as we restarted single file, a lot of drivers here are going to be waiting for those opportunities like Brett Hahn here. Through turn 3 onto the inside of Wilderson onto the front straightaway. Pushing his way up into that 8th place spot here tonight, and I think for Brett Hahn, now is the moment that he wants to turn on the jets for things and really get moving here, as well as knowing the fact now that Brett Hahn came in through pit road, lap 62, and was able to get a fresh set of tires and get back out here, really start to push through things, and knowing as well the top 5 at this moment have not come through pit road at all. Now, bear in mind, drivers are not required to come through pit road. Normally in these races, you only have to use one set of tires in the fuel that you have in your race car to finish these races. But when things start to get a little bit more caution prone is when drivers will opt to use that additional set of tires that they have behind the wall to be able to give them kind of a little bit more of an advantage going into the latter half of the race if cautions are kind of timed. Well, timed is probably not the right word to use, but if cautions come out at the right time is what I would like to say. Charles Darling there. You can see the rear end wanting to get away from him. So, I mean, really for these guys in the top 5, the tire wear is going to be fighting these guys more than anything. And for the drivers that have come through pit road, they're going to be in an advantage when it comes time to tracking these guys down. And right now, Dalton Williamson in 6th place currently is one of the first drivers to do that here. So it won't be too long before we see the likes of Nick Fleury and Brett Hahn starting to stack their way up here into the mix of things. Steady right now. These drivers just being so patient right now, just clicking off these final, well, now going to be 35 laps in the race here. So it's not going to be too long before we see that checkered flag fly. And I mean, at this point, everyone's going to be fighting essentially tooth and nail, and that's probably the reason why we're not seeing a lot of the reason why probably we're not seeing a whole lot of battles right now at this moment is because everyone knows we're close to the end. Oh man, look at this scrap between. Oh man, a big hit. David Luigi, the 87 machine, coming out of turn 4, a big smack to the wall. Still out here racing, hopefully not too much damage done to those tires. Brett Hahn here tracking behind the 87 car now, and again, hopefully the David wasn't affected too much by that hit. It looks like it's not going to be too much damage to that car. So still out here clicking off laps, but Brett Hahn, he is definitely reeling in a pass here at this moment, and Brett still in that 8th place spot. He's got a long ways to go before he's into the top 5, and knowing Brett Hahn, I know that he's going to want to be up here, be up there in the top 3. At least a podium is always his goal. That might be a tough one to get here tonight. It looks like a few drivers getting themselves a little bit into scuffles here and there. John Senu, the most recent one, not bringing out any sort of caution, but the 86 machine probably not having the best of races that he would like here tonight, as this wouldn't be the first time that he's been involved in something, unfortunately. Sometimes that's just the way it goes as a sim racer, or even as a real life driver in general. You just have your bad days. Oh no, Zach Heiser, the 14 machine. You can see the skid marks from this one too. It looks like he got a big snap from something. Let's take a look at the instant replay and see exactly what that was. Coming out of turn 4, going into turn 1. Mark Welch. Kind of ironic here to have both of our race sponsors involved in an incident here together, but Mark Welch there, Zach Heiser. I think Zach tried all he could to avoid that contact, but ultimately it wasn't enough, and that sent him careening around. But man, oh man, that's just ironic to have both of those two drivers involved in the same incident together. But here they are, they're lined back up kind of relatively in the same spots on the track here. So there you see both of our race sponsors right side by side. Zach Heiser, Mark Welch, the 74 and the 14 machine with Race1.us with Mark Welch, and Horsepower Happenings with Zach Heiser. Thank you both to you drivers, to you sponsors for being on for this season, for this series, as well as for having us broadcasting these events. Always great to be here. Love being here with American Sim Racing Club. It has been a pleasure broadcasting the now past 4 seasons of the Wednesday night series here with American Sim Racing Club. I wouldn't have it any other way. And folks, for all of you that have been tuning in and watching week after week, season after season, thank you. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. Drivers making their way out of pit road here. Now again, bear in mind that drivers only are allocated 1 set of additional tires behind the wall, so any drivers coming back behind the pit road here for, I mean, any time past their first pit stop is probably just coming in for fuel. Maybe they didn't come in for tires the first time around. We could guess all day long. Point being here is that you only get that 1 set. So if you feel at this time, now is the time to get on that fresh set of tires, I mean, you are definitely going to have a lot more pace than the rest of the field at this moment. Granted, it's going to be difficult, but you are definitely going to be faster. And bear this in mind as well, folks. The top 4 have not pitted. So we're going to see some action here as the pace truck makes its dive back down into pit lane. The green flag flies here once again. We cross the line. It's lap 99 of 125 for the Horsepower Happenings 125 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Coming out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. We're 2 wide, 4 deep. Heading into turn 3 here. Taking a look at the action here. 3 wide, just a little bit behind these drivers. Zach Heiser right in the middle of that sandwich. And there we see it on the top left side of our screens. 26 laps left to go. Oh. Brett Hahn there. That was mighty, mighty close. Checking up. Franklin Evans checking up to that. Making sure he doesn't ram into the rear end of the 71 car. As again, folks, this is where the action is at its peak. And with 24 laps left to go, everyone is going to be gunning for positions. But for Andrew Payne, I mean, you know what? I don't want to jinx it yet. I don't want to, not yet. Oh my, we've got action here. The 14, Zach Heiser. Oh, wow. Gets it back onto the racetrack, and it does not look like there's going to be a caution from that coming out of turn 2. Nope. There it is. Not quite so lucky, David Luigi. If I can find his name here. Oh, boy. Not having the best of times here at this moment with 21 laps left to go. Let's take a look at the instant replay here. The 87 machine there coming out of turn 4. Oh! Wow! Let's back that up. That deserves a backing up here on the old tape recorder. Wow, look at this. Brian Wilderson, the 951. Oh, man. Okay, so that's a lot to digest right there. So Brian Wilderson here got into the rear end of Franklin Evans on the front straightaway, and that caused him to drop down a little bit down into the inside lane, getting into David Luigi, which caused that incident. That is, wow. And folks, it's such a great example. And I mean, I say that a lot about a lot of racing incidents. It's a really good example of how quickly things can develop on a racetrack. I mean, things can go from great to horrible in the matter of a blink of an eye. That's all it takes. And again, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors for tonight's race, as well as the series, Race1.us and Horsepower Happenings, the Great Lakes Short Track Racing Authority, for being on for this season, for the series. Great to have these guys on board, and great to have them on the racetrack as well. And folks, if you don't know what Horsepower Happenings is, open up your Spotify, look up Horsepower Happenings. It is a podcast that happens every Monday night, and it covers a lot of the happenings around the Midwest as far as short track racing is concerned. So if you are interested in seeing what Horsepower Happenings is all about, again, head on over to Spotify, look up Horsepower Happenings, and make sure to subscribe, follow them, do whatever it is that you got to do. Check out their podcast every Monday night. Horsepower Happenings, hosted by Zach Heiser and Rich Friends. Thank you guys for sponsoring tonight's race for the Horsepower Happenings 125, as well as the pole award for every single race. As we go back to green flag racing here, 21 laps left to go. Not a whole lot of laps left here to turn before we see that checkered flag. single file racing here in the mid-pack as we come out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Trying to see who is going to make any sort of moves here in this pack and try and move their way up any further. But, I mean, look at this. You can see the difference between first and second place, Andrew Payne, Ron Hart. I mean, both of these drivers are nearly a second away from each other. But look at this. We've got a battle for first place, and Ron Hart takes the lead. Andrew Payne out of turn 4. Little bit of a struggle for the 93 machine. Ron Hart, the 51, now leads tonight's race for the horsepower happenings. 125, the 93, Andrew Payne having led 103 laps of this race here tonight, now falling back into 5th place here behind the 25 of Nick Fleury with 17 laps left to go. Franklin Evans bringing out the caution here, the 933, aka the 41 car, having a little bit of an incident here. Let's take a look at what happened. Oh, Brian Wildison, a little bit of a love tap to the rear end, and Franklin here, I mean, I don't think that could have worked out any better here for Franklin Evans as far as being able to get that car stopped basically almost instantaneously, it seemed like. $17 laps left to go here tonight. The green flag drops here once again. 16 laps left here to go. And Ron Hart, our new race leader. And honestly, Ron Hart has done an incredible job just trailing along here with Andrew Payne. I don't think anyone has shown more patience in tonight's race than Ron Hart. I mean, this man has been consecutively leading that second place spot. I mean, for almost half of the race here. I know he didn't start in that second place spot, but I know that he worked his way up there very quickly and has held that spot for quite some time as we continue along with our race here. 14 laps left to go. Heading into turn 3 at this moment, Charles Darling, Rex Hoyle stacked up for that second place battle here. Rex here getting stacked up right into the mix of things, and look at Andrew Payne. He's back up here into 4th place, trying to get himself back up into that lead with 12 laps left to go. Folks, this is the action that we've all been waiting for, and here it is. Man, oh man, are we going to see Andrew Payne dive his way up into the lead here before the end of the race here tonight, or is it going to be just out of reach for the 93 driver? But it looks to be he has got his eyes set on getting back up there into the front of the field. Meanwhile, just behind them, Brett Hahn, Andrew Burr, Dalton Williamson, battling it out side by side, heading out of turn 4, across the checkered line, into turn 1, Williamson on the inside. Andrew Burr as well, the 223 machine, just behind these two drivers, giving a little bit of a push to the inside line, going through turns 3 and 4. Brett Hahn on the outside, able to make a move here down the front straightaway, heading into turn 1. Is he going to be able to get in front of the 1 car of Williamson out of turn 2? Still side by side between these two drivers. Still a lot of drive here for the 71 machine, Brett the Jet Hahn. It is neck and neck between these two drivers at this moment. With 8 laps left to go, and looking at the front of the field here as well, they are still single file at this moment, and every single one of them just being so consistent here. Laps left to go at this moment, and I mean, for the drivers in the lead, it is pretty much all down to a gamble of who's gonna make a mistake. That is what it's going to boil down to here at this point, I believe. And Ron Hart at this moment, with 4 laps left to go, starting to see a little bit of challenge happening here from Charles Darling and Rex Hoyle. Charles here, he is very close to trying to make a move down to the inside there, backing off there. Oh my, here we go, out of turn 2. Darling is just waiting for the opportunity. He has got the momentum here. I don't know, oh man, he might have lost it there just a minute ago. 2 laps left here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Oh no. Not what we want to see here with 2 laps left to go. A caution flag out here. The 951 Brian Wilderson. Smoke pluming out of the engine compartment of that race car, and oh man, I think that's going to be the end of Brian Wilderson's. Well, it's going to have to be, with only now entering into our first green-white checkered attempt of the race here tonight. Let's take a look at the instant replay and see what happened here. Oh no, Mark Welch, Zach Heiser again contacting. Brian Wilderson tried to avoid it. Oh, you know, that's always the worst way, as a sim racer at least, I feel, when you're trying your hardest, your absolute hardest to avoid a wreck, and all you do is just put yourself in it. It's a great feeling, let me tell you. Ryan here still trying to turn some laps here with the smoked out engine of the 951. But for the drivers up here in the lead, this is where things are going to get very interesting. Ron Hart, Charles Darling, Rex Hoyle, Nick Fleury, Andrew Payne. All of these drivers going to be gunning for the win here tonight. And with only 3 laps to compete for it, I mean, I don't know. Charles has been showing a lot of, well, he's been trying to push his way up here into the lead. And Andrew Payne obviously wants to get back up here, so I don't know. We're going to have to... I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out for these drivers. Are we going to see Ron Hart come away with the win? Are we going to see Charles Darling make a dive to the inside and make that pass for the win? Or are we going to see Andrew Payne just pull something out of thin air and make that pass for the win. We'll just have to wait and see. Pace truck is in, back to green flag racing we go. 2 laps left to go here at North Wilkesboro. There's already trouble. Oh no, who is that? Rex Hoyle, the 54 machine, getting in a lot of trouble here on this restart. Green flag drops, heading into turn 1 here. Oh, Nick Fleury, they just lock wheels with each other. That sends Rex Hoyle up to the top of the racetrack. Ouch. Looking at things right now, folks, I think... Nope, okay, never mind. All right. I, for some reason, thought race control was going to end the race here, but that didn't seem quite right to me. But it definitely was not. Actually, it does appear that that is going to be the end of the race here. With Ron Hart coming home with the win here, Charles Darling in second place, and Nick Fleury actually getting assistance from the 93 of Andrew Payne, pushing him across the checkered line here. Okay, that's a way to end a race here, guys. But for Ron Hart, he's going to come home with the win here tonight. So great work from the 051 of Ron Hart after a little bit of an anticlimactic finish here for tonight's race. But hey, that's racing for you sometimes. Sometimes things don't end the way that you would like it to. But here tonight, Ron Hart's going to come home with a win here for race number 3 of the Race1 SK Modified Series, the Horsepower Happenings 125. So we're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for our post-race interviews. So first up in the booth that we are going to have here tonight, Nick Fleury, the 25 machine, coming home with third place here tonight. Nick, sir, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your third place finish, and what an interesting way to end tonight's race. And I mean, honestly, what an interesting race in general. North Wilkesboro, traditionally one of the, well, I don't want to say tougher tracks because it's not necessarily tough, but it's definitely tough to make passing effective. And you kind of got to play a little bit of a patience game here on this track. But Nick, what was kind of your game plan for tonight? And did you play it out the way that you planned it, or did you kind of have to adjust things on the fly as things went on?
Yeah, it's a real tricky track, but it's a lot of fun. It puts on really good racing where you can get side by side and have some fun. My strategy was to get some tires halfway through and see what I could do with that. In hindsight, I think it wasn't a good idea, but I was saved by the fact that we had cautions, and that's the only thing that got me in position to come back up to third.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, with all the cautions that we had here tonight, especially the ones at the tail end of the race here, I mean, it seemed like it could have been almost anyone's race at that point. I mean, we had Ron Hart duking it out, Charles Darling up there towards the front, yourself working your way up there towards the front of the field, Andrew Payne as well. You know, I almost feel like if there was a few more green flag laps left in this race here, I mean, things could have turned out differently. Even considering if there was possibly a double file restart there towards the end. But with all of that aside, like you said yourself, it was a tough race here tonight, but a lot of good racing here. I mean, taken away tonight, what does that kind of give you momentum-wise going into the rest of the season? I know we've seen you in the 25 machine here in the modifieds just progressively just get better and better. I don't remember if it was you or someone else, but I know that someone mentioned that they weren't too confident in these modifieds. They felt a lot more comfortable in the super late models, and I think it was yourself that mentioned that. But you have been showing a lot of progress here in the modifieds, and every single race it seems like you're getting closer and closer up to the podium, and here you are.
Oh, that absolutely was not me. I feel really at home in the modifieds, so much more so than the supers. I did need about 25 more laps there if no one else pitted in that same scenario, because right there at the end when we all started pushing with about 10 laps to go, pushing hard, I definitely could push a little bit harder than those other guys, and it was getting to be a lot of fun. But I just didn't have time to catch Ron in the current scenario.
Yeah, Ron was just on wheels there towards the end. It just seemed like he was unstoppable. And Andrew Payne as well. I mean, got to give credit to the 93. Leading, it was 102 laps of the race here tonight, so he did an incredible job in making that one fluke there just past the 100 lap margin. Yeah,
he was fast. I don't know if there was a lot of contact involved or what. I have to go back and take a look at it, but he was fast and he was going to be hard to catch.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go here tonight, Nick, and celebrate your podium tonight, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I got to thank my Lord and Savior. He's everything. Next, my wife. She's so fantastic to me. And then I got to thank my sponsors, CPM Incorporated, J Angle Home Improvements, Mike's Garage, and want to thank my teammates at RHE Racing, Dave Payton and Brett Hahn. They've really helped me figure things out. And then I also have to thank our race sponsors, Race1. They're so generous to sponsor our league this year, and we're really happy to have them. And then also Horsepower Happenings.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Nick, for joining me up here in the booth tonight. Congratulations on your podium, and hopefully get to talk to you again next week.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Nick. Have a great night.
Take care.
Alrighty, folks. Nick Fleury out of the booth, taking home a third place in the 25 machine here tonight. Up next, the 88 of Charles Darling, taking home second place here tonight. Chuck, welcome to the booth here. Congratulations on second place. Charles, this was quite the race here to be in, and for yourself, I mean, I would have to say, out of the top 5 drivers here tonight, the drivers in the top 5 spots, I would say you were probably one of the more patient ones here tonight, not really taking any too risky chances here, just kind of playing your cards safe, not really trying to dive in on anyone or anything like that. Charles, what was your strategy here tonight? And I mean, coming home second place, it obviously had to have worked somewhat in your favor.
Oh, it definitely did. I'll take it. It's my highest finish in the league, my highest finish in any league racing here on iRacing. But the strategy was just to, run laps, stay, stay smooth, stay consistent, trying to run, not run into anybody. That's the big thing. Give everybody enough room and manage the tires as much as I could. We learned last week that tires really didn't matter, but in this race, it seemed like they started to go at the end, and man, I was hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, and get this, Chuck. You and Ron Hart were the only two drivers that didn't pit. The only two. So you guys were the only two drivers out there fighting the same set of tires that you guys started on. I mean, it's impressive to say the least, because you had drivers coming in lap 62, even lap 127 that were all gunning for those top two spots. And for yourself and Andrew Payne, I mean, before Andrew Payne kind of fell off there in the final 25 lap margin, you guys were starting to build up a gap between the rest of the field, almost nearly a second. I mean, what was going on there between you two? You guys were just on rockets compared to the rest of the field.
I think there's a little bit of a draft with these cars, and it helps because I was kind of glancing at the lap times, and I ran like my fastest lap probably like lap 89, 90, somewhere around there. And it was, oh my gosh, Mason, it was definitely a handful. I want to give props to Rex Hoyle for racing me clean there on them restarts. I mean, he had a chance to get me, and I bobbled a couple of times and he stayed off me, but man, he's a veteran. I've raced with him in the bull ring and other leagues, so hats off to him for staying off me. And I want to give kudos to my teammate Ron Hart for winning this sucker, because he told me during the race, he's like, do what you got to do. And I tried peeking my nose in there, and then I'm like, nope, Rex is too close, he's going to get me on the outside. So I just moved in line, and that was all she wrote.
Well, Charles, you did a phenomenal job here tonight, and I think your strategy was executed perfectly. Staying clean and green. Well, aside from the cautions here tonight, you kept yourself out there in the top three, able to come home with a second place podium here tonight. Before I let you go and celebrate a well-deserved podium here tonight, Chuck, is there anyone that you want to shout out, thank, that's watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew before you go tonight?
Yep, sure do. Got to thank my teammates, Ron Hart, Zach Heiser. They're kind of coaching me during the race and, during practice on what our lines are going to be. This is the first time that I've had teammates in any league racing, so that's really cool. Got to thank my buddy Brad Bergevin at Dead Short Race Car Wearing. Everybody at Bertrand Speedway and Event Center. We got Eva Destruction this Friday, if anybody in the Michigan area is listening. Booyah, there's your racing action for your Eva Destruction show. Got to thank Horsepower Happenings. Got to thank Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club. Got to thank, Northside Towing. Don't want to forget Jeff Finley and family for helping me out. Also got to thank the B and B&C Racing, my wife Brenda. And as usual, thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and everybody at ASRC. Race1, Mark Welch does a phenomenal job with paint schemes. My car is actually a replica of the Bertrand Speedway and Event Center pace car. So kudos to all of them. I appreciate them, and we'll go on to the next one.
Absolutely, Chuck. Hopefully get to see you again up here in the booth, and good luck to you next week.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mason. That's the goal. Like Brett says, the goal is to talk to you every week.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you next week, Chuck.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Alrighty, folks, that was Charles Darling, the 88 machine, out of the booth here tonight, taking home second place here tonight. Last, certainly not going to be least, Ron Hart, the 51 machine, coming home with the win here tonight. Ron, you were on wheels here tonight, Ron. I mean, you were trailing down Andrew Payne for I don't even know how many laps. I lost count after a certain point in time, but I mean, before you saw yourself in the lead, what was it like just trying to track down Andrew Payne? I mean, I know you weren't exactly, too far behind him. You were on the bumper of that 93 machine for quite a long time. I mean, trying to keep behind a driver for that long and trying to make that position, I mean, what was it like? Walk me through a race in your shoes, Ron.
Yeah, Mason, it's a little bit fun, a little bit frustrating, I guess. I think Andrew was better tonight, for sure. I couldn't run him down. He probably pulled away a little bit on the long run. There about middle of the race, got a good restart on his outside, and he kind of stuffed us in the fence off of 2, and we had a little run in last year at Martinsville, and you know, we didn't forget that tonight. So I was able to get back to his bumper there and give him a little rub in there in 3 and 4. Didn't take him out at all, just kind of moved him up out of the way and able to get by and take the lead and get the win that way. So don't love to win him with the bumper, but also kind of have a long memory from some stuff that's happened earlier in this race and last year in the Supers, and able to repay a little debt tonight and come home with a win.
Absolutely. And doing a fantastic job of it as well. I gotta ask you too, I mean, towards the kind of final few laps of the race there, Charles Darling was starting to give you a little bit of run for your money there towards the end, but he kind of mentioned it for himself there. He was happy that his teammate was able to come home with the win here, but having the 88 machine as well as Nick Fleury there kind of right on your tail there towards the end, I mean, were you feeling any sort of pressure, or were you confident at that point that you were going to come away with a win tonight?
A little bit of both, man. It's hard to pass in these cars, and I knew having Chuck back there, he wasn't going to rough me up, even though I kind of told him on one of the cautions, like, hey, man, do what you got to do. You know, he hasn't won one of these before, and I obviously used the bumper to get the lead, so it would have been no hard feelings if he would have used the bumper to get by me, and especially since I think he had more speed than I did tonight. But Chuck and I have raced together for a long time, and you know, we talked on the side and team speak during the races and kind of work together and stuff. So it was a good 1-2 finish for us, and hopefully I can repay the favor to him and get him a win here soon.
Absolutely. Hopefully we get to see both of you guys up there on the podium again in the future. But before we let you go here tonight, Ron, and celebrate with not only your team, but cracking open that champagne for the win here tonight, is there anyone that you want to shout out and thank? Anyone watching the broadcast in the pit crew before you go tonight?
Yeah, old man's watching tonight. Happy to get another win. He watches most of these races, and cool to get a win. We can get a text from him after getting a win. Always feels good. Shout out to Chuck on a good finish tonight, and then also a shout out to Horsepower Happenings for sponsoring the series this season. Appreciate them coming on board for this little stretch. Cool podcast to go listen to if you're a race fan.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ron, for joining me up here in the booth tonight. Congratulations on a heck of a win here for the Horsepower Happenings 125, and hopefully get to talk to you again in future races.
That's the plan, Mason. Have a good night.
You as well. Thank you, Ron. All righty, folks. That is Ron Hart out of the booth here tonight, and that is going to conclude our coverage of the Horsepower Happenings 125 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in and watching. I want to thank our series sponsors, Horsepower Happenings, of course, as well as Race1 for putting on this series for us this season. Big shout out and thank you to Mark Welch, as well as Zach Heiser and Rich France. Thank you all again for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. Thank you all once again for watching, and I will see you all next week, same time, same place, for the next race of the Race1 SK Modified Series. See you all next time.